is the agenda for the meeting today. We'll start off, just talk quickly about what Solidarity Lowell is and do our brief introductions. Then at around 5:40, we will do our Solidarity Lowell committees and allied organizations updates, including updates from Lowell Lines and Act on Mass. At 6:10, Councilor Vesna Nuon is here to talk about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and Community Preservation Act. And then at 6:45, we'll wrap up and talk about our next meeting. So first, we just wanted to mention that the Transgender Day of Remembrance was this week. Please take a moment to acknowledge those who were lost this year. It was quite a long list, as it always is too long. And also on Thanksgiving, take a moment to acknowledge the Indigenous tribes whose land we stand on. Here in Lowell, those tribes are the Wabanaki Confederacy, Pennacook, Pawtucket, Massa, Adchu, Esset, and you can learn more about that at nativeland.ca. It's a really great website. If you've never checked it out, it shows where all of the tribes are on the whole United States. All right, so guidelines for our virtual meetings, please use, if you click on the participants button, raise hand, or you can type a star in the chat and we'll call on you in order. The stacker for this meeting is Joe Boyle, and he'll pay attention to the order and help mute and unmute in turn. The timekeeper is Chris Offerman. Please be mindful of the time. And if you need to take a break and get up or whatever, please feel free to use stop video to shut off your camera and then click start video again when you're ready to return. As usual, if you feel like you are sharing too much, step back. If you are not sharing enough, please feel free to step up and say something. We want everyone to participate equally if possible, if you are comfortable. And this meeting is being recorded, just an FYI. If you're not familiar with us, Solidarity Lowell is a volunteer-based group of community members working towards social justice by defending the human rights, dignity, and human rights of all persons against all forms of hate and discrimination. With all in-person events on hold, we hope we can bring people together virtually and come up with ways to pursue progressive issues in this time of social distancing. The Solidarity Lowell Coordinating Committee is your elected team of volunteers running the meetings, organizing events, disseminating relevant news, and sharing calls to action. And more volunteers are always welcome. We are a chapter of Progressive Massachusetts. If you're interested in learning more about Progressive Mass or joining one of our their committees, please let us know after the meeting. There is a new digital engagement committee forming and they need volunteers. They're looking for wordsmiths and graphic artists to create informative and creative visuals for Progressive Mass digital outreach issues. All right, so we'll start off with our introductions. Please introduce yourself. Yeah, give your name, your pronouns, where you live, and what is your favorite Thanksgiving pie or dessert. I will start. My name is Marissa DuPont. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in Pawtucketville, and my favorite Thanksgiving pie or dessert is chocolate cream pie. And I will call, oh, and that's the thing is, you know, just try to call on the next person who you know hasn't gone. So I will call on Chris.
Now that I just muted myself, okay, here I am. So my name is Chris, she, her, hers. I live in downtown Lowell. And my favorite Thanksgiving dessert, I'll be real boring, pumpkin pie. It's so American. I'd never encountered that thing before I came here, so I still love it. John.
John Grossman, he, him. I live in Lowell and Pawtucketville. And I used to really like the derby pie my mother would make on Thanksgiving. And I'll go to Joe.
Okay, hi, I'm Joe Boyle. I live in the Highlands here in Lowell. He, him, his pronouns. My favorite Thanksgiving dessert is a trifle. My mom always used to make trifles, sometimes with the Kahlua or something poured into the cake. Ooh, nothing like a good trifle. I will, let's see, next on my list on my screen is Rick Golden.
Okay, Rick Golden. I live on Christian Hill in Lowell. Him, he, his. My favorite dessert is the Grateful Dead. And I will pass it over to Amy.
There you go. Hi, Amy, she, her, hers. I live in, I guess, what is now the Acre, but is soon to be District 4, which is more lumped with downtown. And I know it's boring, but you can't go wrong with pumpkin pie. It's still my favorite. So, and I'll pass to Ryan.
My name is Ryan, he, him, his, and I live in the Acre, also with Amy. And my favorite Thanksgiving dessert is also pumpkin pie, but I'd add a little bit of coffee toffee ice cream from Ben & Jerry's.
Ooh. Nice. Okay, you got to call on somebody that hasn't gone yet.
All right, I call on Paul Gaudette.
Hi, everybody. Paul Gaudette, he, him. I live in the Highlands, and my favorite pie, it's got to be apple pie. Let me see, Tara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Hong. I'm going with he, his, him. I live in the Highland of Lowell. My favorite dessert is cheesecake. I would pass on to Councilor Nuon on my list.
Thank you, Tara. My name is Vesna Nuon. I live in the Upper Highlands, not too far away from Joe. Me is he, him. Pie is my favorite, pumpkin pie. Next, pass it on to Susie.
Sorry, I'm driving. She, her. My name is Susie Chun. She, her. I live in South Lowell. My favorite dessert, not necessarily Thanksgiving, but it's in general, is Cambodian pumpkin custard. So it's very good. So yeah, pumpkin custard. Thank you. I can't see who's next, so sorry.
Why don't we have Steve go next?
Oh, okay. I'm Steve. I live in downtown Lowell. He, him is my pronouns. My favorite dessert is revenge. It's a dish best served cold. Ty is next.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. My name is Ty. He, him, his. I live in the Highland. My favorite Thanksgiving pie would be apple pie. I'll pass it on to, how about Rick? Have Rick gone yet?
I think Rick went.
Oh, how about John Grossman?
John went as well.
Oh my God, my apologies. Let me see. How about D?
Perfect.
Nice.
D, you're muted.
I had to find my picture so I could unmute. D, she, her. I live in the Acre. My favorite Thanksgiving dessert is not, it's not very original. It's pumpkin pie. Who will I call on? Shireen.
Shireen, you got to unmute.
I'm Shireen Razak. I use she, her, and hers. And my favorite dessert for Thanksgiving is definitely apple pie. I'm currently out in the woods and looking to come to Lowell. So.
Fabulous. Okay, who hasn't gone yet? Ryan, you want to go?
Yeah, happy to. Hi, Ryan from Acton, Mass. He, him. I live in Somerville, and pumpkin pie. Can't go wrong.
Sweet. Okay, who else hasn't gone? Ron?
Hi, let's see, make this video work. There we go. Hang on. There he goes. Whoops. I've got interesting network connectivity. I apologize.
No worries.
There we go. Can people see me?
Yes.
I'm Ron Peacetree. I currently live in Malden. I may end up in Lowell. It's not clear yet. My pronouns are he, his, him. And my grandmother used to make pumpkin pie using maple syrup as the sweetener. And if you haven't tried that, it does not taste like other pumpkin pie.
All right. Who else has not gone yet? Caroline, I think you're it.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Caroline, pronouns she, her, hers. I live in Centerville, and I'm not a huge pie fan, but desserts in general, anything that's chocolate or crunchy, or crunchy.
Okay. Is there anyone who hasn't gone who I missed? Nope. Okay, good. All right, so next we're going to celebrate our victories. First of all, Teresa English had a very close race. She got 10 to 12,000 votes within the, well, 10 to 12,000 votes in non-blue Billerica, which is fantastic. Initiative number 3 in the 16th Middlesex overwhelmingly passed, 71% overall. Congratulations to 350 Mass for all their work on that. That was to transition to 100% renewable energy by 2030. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Biden-Harris won the presidential election, obviously, yay. Amendment number 180, the Roe Act, passed in the Senate, which is fantastic. And the public charge immigration rule has been vacated by a federal judge. Who else has victories they'd like to share?
I'm not sure that it qualifies quite as a victory yet, but I was on a phone call. Lisa Arnold was there as well, with a number of other people with an aide in Lori Trahan's office. And he had, on the subject of Yemen and the need for Lori to make clear especially to the new incoming administration, her support for withdrawing our support from the Saudi war effort in Yemen. And it was an excellent phone call, and it seemed like we got through it, or at least a dialogue has been opened, and we're asking for another meeting with Lori herself. So it was, I don't know about victory, but it was a positive.
Good. Yeah, and I talked to Glenn Cody about that, and I've been encouraging him to post in the Solidarity Lowell group about upcoming meetings, so folks should keep an eye out for that. Look for messages from Glenn Cody. Who else has victories?
Good news to share. The Justice for Our Neighbors, JFON, had a successful fundraiser. There was an auction this past weekend.
Great.
And they met their goals, so they did a nice job.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Flipping through the screens to see. I don't see anyone else with hands raised, so I guess we will move on. We have started a new Facebook group called Solidarity Lowell Upbeat, where we share positive news items. We used to send out a weekly newsletter about that, but we've stopped doing that, and this is to replace that. So if you're interested in sharing positive news or just reading about positive news, please search for Solidarity Lowell Upbeat on Facebook. Next, we'll have an update from the Elections Subcommittee. Dee, is that you?
Okay, yeah. We're trying to get organized to be able to work on the city council elections. So we're asking everybody to send us, we weren't originally collecting addresses, but now, especially in Lowell, we need your addresses so we can figure out what district you're in when we start working on that stuff. And also because we'd like to be able to organize meetings with our state legislators, and we need to know what town you live in and what your street address is in order to figure that piece out too. So Lisa, was there, is Lisa here?
Lisa's not here, no.
I can't remember anything else we were working on besides that.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that we're looking for folks who are going to be running for city council. Please, let us know. And yeah, that was the big thing. Ron, do you have a question?
Yes. Do we know what voter turnout was like in Lowell?
It was crazy high.
Do we have any groups that were lower than we were expecting or hoping?
Not that we know of. I mean, from my experience with the campaign that I was working on, turnout was insanely high everywhere thanks to mail-in voting and absentee voting and early voting. So if we are still in a pandemic situation, I think we can expect more of the same. If we are not, it's all up in the air. Chris, you had a question?
Yes, going back to what Dee just said about collecting everybody's addresses. If somebody has the link to that form handy, I can drop it in the chat so we have it in the minutes.
I can grab it. I'll just have to stop. No, I have to stop
I'll
screen sharing to
look
get it.
for. I've got the document open. I'll look for it and post.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
just
you
post
can
it in the chat.
Just drop it in here so it's on record. I know we posted it before, but might as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron, did you have another question?
I only raised my hand once.
Okay.
Okay. I was looking in the chat. All right.
Okay. Moving on. The Immigrant Rights Subcommittee is next. Chris?
Yes, that's me. So all local actions, of course, are still on hold. We're definitely hoping that by the September of 2021, we'll be in a position to have a welcoming week again. If so, that will be announced as soon as we know about it, and maybe we'll get brave and have another picnic in the park like we did before. But that's September 2021. Until then, the public charge rule, which we had in the victories, that was one of the things we were working on. Now the Safe Communities Act, which had been reported out of, I forget what, one committee, is now in Ways and Means, and they will decide whether to advance it. So email or call legislators to support this. And after I've done talking, I'll drop the links into the chat again. And also the Work and Family Mobility Act, which is for undocumented immigrants to get a driver's license. There's a lot of confusion about the real ID driver's license, which enables you to vote and do all kinds of things. This would be a different class of driver's license, but that way people can drive to work, drive their kids to school, drive to shopping, get insurance for their car. Everybody will be safer. So there's a big push on that. I'll also drop that link to contact both Governor Baker's office and our state legislatures to get that one passed. In general, I just follow Mira Coalition online. Driving Families Forward is on Facebook and also on Twitter, which is where I get most of my information. So anybody who's interested in immigrant rights should be looking there or any other place they can think of. Or if you have any questions, just drop me a line, chris@solidaritylowell.com. And that's about it. I'll find the links now and drop them.
Great, thank you. Okay, so next up is the Merrimack Valley Interfaith Sanctuary Network, which I am the volunteer coordinator for Solidarity Lowell for. We are going to be, well, first of all, we have a gentleman staying with us. He's from Togo. His name is Marius. And we're going to be doing a virtual fundraiser for him on December 15th at 7 p.m. Via Zoom. You need to RSVP on Eventbrite. There's also a Facebook event. If you see that, just make sure that you click on the link in the description and RSVP to the Eventbrite in order to get the Zoom link. So that's going to be exciting. That'll be a conversation with him. It'll focus a little bit on his journey from Togo to the United States by way of South America, Peru, Mexico, crossing the Mexican border. But the majority of the conversation with him will have to do with his experiences crossing the border and in ICE detention and then making his way here. So that'll be very exciting. I encourage all of you to sign up. And if you can't make it and you want to just donate, the link is on the screen and we'll put that in the notes as well. Just go to merrimackvalleyproject.org, and then when you donate, make sure you put asylum in the special notes part of the form. We have agreed to provide living expenses for him on a monthly basis. So any money that you can donate is greatly appreciated. If you have any questions, you can email me, marissa@solidaritylowell.com. Okay, and now we have the portion where we do group updates and announcements. This is for any groups that you're involved with that you want to share information about here with us. Please let me know who would like to speak up. Or just put a star in the chat if you would like to share an update. Anyone? 350 Mass? You guys don't have anything? No? Okay.
Well,
go ahead,
go
John.
ahead, John.
I'll speak up for Merrimack Valley Project. I think maybe last time I had mentioned that we had our MICA Awards event. It was very successful, and thanks to Solidarity Lowell for the display ad and the contribution. We raised over $25,000, which is super. And the other thing that's happening is we're doing some internal organizing so that in the new year, we're going to be looking to try to build membership in each of our 3 chapters. And our organizers are going to have they're intentionally working with our Haverhill chapter right now, but eventually our Lowell chapter. So anyone who's part of organizations that would like to become allies or formal members of Merrimack Valley Project, we're always open and looking for contacts of people who care about justice and want to work together.
John, do you want to say something about 350 or no?
Go ahead, Steve. You could do it.
350 Mass Lowell Node, as was mentioned before, we had a campaign in the 16th district, basically a non-binding resolution calling on the state legislators to move toward 100% renewable in 2 decades, so that would be 2040. It passed by roughly 71% to 29%. So we thought that was pretty good considering the obstacles that we had trying to reach the population. We couldn't get any play in the Lowell Sun, so we basically had a ground campaign of literature drops. So we had many weekends and a number of volunteers distributing. We did 5,000 lit drops in the 16th district. So we were not sure what was going to happen, so we kind of think 71-29 is a pretty good result in Mr. Golden's district. Though I was thinking, you know, just this morning, those numbers sound good, but it also means that 29% of the people who responded said no. So that's kind of interesting. It was kind of an apple pie question. Do you want to move to a clean energy by 2040? Obviously, most of the people said yes, but a fairly substantial number said no. So that's, you know, kind of interesting the more you think about it. So that was our focus of activity, mostly, you know, September, October, leading up to the election. Right now, 350 Mass statewide is preparing our priorities in conjunction with our allies for what we're going to do in spring and summer of next year. So that's ongoing. We do want to note that the public transportation sector, which we're very concerned about because transportation is second highest contributor to greenhouse gases in Massachusetts comes from transportation. And the public transportation system is in dire straits. Without federal funding, there's probably going to be massive cuts. The ridership has dropped through the floor for various reasons, mostly COVID. But there are some other structural issues with public transportation in Massachusetts that are longstanding and need to be dealt with. So we're looking at also transportation issues. Another major focus, probably primary focus, is probably going to be in the building and construction sector, trying to make sure that new buildings are as energy efficient as possible, and also trying to work with the Mass Save program to hopefully revamp that program and make it much more comprehensive and accessible to lower income working people and single family homeowners. So those are principally the things that we're working on. John, do you have anything to add there on the legislative front, maybe?
Well, there's a significant climate bill that still hasn't passed. As we know, there's a number of pieces of progressive legislation, including working families mobility and Safe Communities Act. And there's a climate bill that would update Massachusetts goals and make them a little closer to what they ought to be. That's still stuck in conference committee.
Ron, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's about the rail situation. Are we working with former Governor Dukakis's group that's trying to get better rail throughout Massachusetts, including the long run between Boston and Springfield?
I'm not sure what group you're talking about. Our allies in the transportation sector basically revolve around T for Mass. And I guess the short answer to the question is, yes, we've called for the East-West Rail, the East-West Rail system to be developed. We're also calling for the commuter rail system to be evolved into a truly regional rail system. As everybody knows, the workplace situation where more and more people are working from home, this may be a trend that's not going to end with COVID. This may be something that's an increasing phenomena where the old model of 9 to 5 and commuters using commuter rail is outmoded. So regional rail is really what's called for. So electrification of the rail system, the East-West Rail link, though I don't think that's what it's called, but it basically the Springfield to Boston line, and just basically an overhaul of the public transportation system from my perspective, particularly the RTAs, which have some serious problems.
Joe, did you have a question?
To Ron's question, I have been involved with the North-South Rail Link group, which is a group that Governor Dukakis is involved with. I think that might be the one you're thinking of. And they have basically gone more or less dormant since COVID.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one, the North-South Rail Link. I thought, Ronnie, you were talking about the Springfield to Boston.
Governor Dukakis's group is working on all of them because he thinks that all across the state of Massachusetts we need far better rail, which is why when you started talking, it resonated. Alexandra was working with that group at one point. I'll see if I can reach out to her and see if they're doing anything behind the scenes, or if with COVID they just sort of, like so many other things, just didn't have the ability to keep going.
Great, thank you.
Well, just briefly, the public transit sector is in crisis, as I said before, and nobody really knows what's going to happen. So your advocacy is important.
Great. Does anyone else have any group updates? Ryan, did you have one from Act on Mass?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't sure if this was the right time. Should I?
Thank you.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name's Ryan. I'm the organizing director from Act on Mass. We are launching a little campaign. Is it okay if I share my screen? Is that possible? I have a few slides.
Yep, give me 1 second.
Yep.
Right, good to go.
Okay, and I will be quick. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, so hi, thanks again for having me in. Like I said, my name's Ryan, I'm from Act on Mass. If you haven't heard of us, we are a transparency advocacy organization. We do a lot of work in the State House. Our sort of like 2-minute thing is, or 2-second thing is, the State House is broken, it's dysfunctional, it doesn't pass bills that have broad passive support. We all know this. We're advocating to change that dynamic, to make the State House the people's house. So we're having a campaign as the new legislative session begins, which, as we know, starts in January. At the start of every legislative session, there's a new rule book that's passed. State legislators write their own rules. They're called House and Senate rules. And there are some really critical rules that lead to the death of so many bills that we need and have been organizing behind. The work that you guys organize behind, the Safe Communities Act, for example, used to be the Trust Act, has been dying or in committee for almost a decade. So you can see on the slide, there are a lot of bills that have broad passive support that session after session go nowhere. And we compare very poorly Massachusetts relative to other states on various forms of transparency. And we think where there's no transparency, the advocacy space can't be effective in, in primarying the right representatives or even know when to lobby because it's unclear how bills are dying behind closed doors. So that's Act on Mass. Here's our campaign. There are 3 very specific rules we're targeting. 1, you can see on the left, this is like some schoolhouse rock, but essentially most lawmaking is done in committee. Committee votes aren't public. When a bill is sent to study, which means that's how you kill a bill, that's not public information. So it makes it very difficult to hold our legislators accountable. Also, most floor votes are not public on amendments. And then also the public has no time to review bills. Most bills are introduced Tuesday with a 24-hour turnaround for a Wednesday vote. So we're organizing this campaign over the next 2 months to try and change those 3 very specific rules to empower people. It might sound technical, but this really isn't a technical campaign. Like the headline would be tackling corruption in the State House and making the State House more transparent. So those are the 3 rules that committee votes are public, which exists in a majority of states in the country, that the threshold for a public floor vote is much lower, in line with the number of other states in this country, and then the public has more time to review bills. We're creating district teams in every state. We already have district teams in 93 districts. So Thomas Golden, Vanna Howard, and the 18th, whoever's in the 18th, Middlesex as well.
Ratty Mom.
Ready, Mom. Yep.
Yeah, Ready Mom. We're organizing in those 3. We're building teams. We will then go into those meetings, very targeted pressure meetings with large groups of constituents, ask them to vote in favor of these 3 amendments, which we know will be filed because we already have ally state reps that are filing them in January. There has to be a vote or the session can't begin. And depending on how those meetings go, we'll escalate afterwards. So we'd love, let me go to the last slide. It's a little bit of history, but I'm sure people here might be somewhat familiar with the lack of transparency in the State House. So I'll jump to the conclusion. Again, this is the Transparency is Power campaign by Act on Mass. If you could join your district team, which is a pretty low commitment, just an hour meeting where we're going to strategize how to approach the state rep with like the 10 to 20, as many people as we can get people on the district team, and then actually attending the pressure meeting with your legislator. So you can sign up at actonmass.org/the-campaign. I'll drop this into the chat box. I'll plug you right into your district team in an email thread. And I think that's it. So happy to take any questions. And thank you very much for having me in tonight.
Thanks, Ryan. Who has questions?
I'll go first. Could you go over again exactly what the legislation in the short term that you're looking to pass? The process that you're looking for? It's a bill through both houses signed by the governor?
No, so it is not a bill. It's effectively a bill. It's called an order. And at the start of every session, there will be an order introduced that are the rules that dictate how bills are introduced, debated, and voted on. So our legislators sort of write their own rules.
Right.
And therefore nothing is public, because then we can't hold them accountable. So we know the session can't begin until the rules are written. So at the beginning of the session, leadership will introduce rules. We will file 3 amendments to those rules for public committee votes, 72 hours to review a bill, and then more public floor votes, or reducing the threshold for a roll call vote. So that's the exact mechanism.
And just in the House?
Just in the House. The Senate already has public committee votes, so less corrupt. And the House, as we probably all know, is where a lot of these bills die, like Safe Communities Act.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Ryan?
So will the lobbying take place as if it was a legislative campaign? In other words, do all the House members have to have a vote on it?
Yeah, all the House members will vote. There are 160 seats. So we're kind of publicly whipping votes in a way. So we need to get to 81. That's why we have district teams in 93 and a number of reps who have already agreed to vote for our amendments. So we have some good momentum. Awesome.
And none of our 3 are among those reps who've agreed?
Correct, not yet. But once we build our district teams, we hope to change that. I mean, Golden's going to be tricky, close to leadership, but
He always is.
But Rep Howard, it would be is certainly in play.
So I would certainly say as I think you said it well, whoever's in the 18th, I think he might be trouble too, because he has been very friendly with DeLeo, Ratty Mom. I wouldn't say it's hopeless, but yes, it certainly seems that Vanna Howard would be the best hope of the 3 in the Lowell delegation.
Yeah, I think so. Well, thanks everyone. Please join your district team. The commitment's pretty low. We think the impact's pretty big. It's act.mass.org/the-campaign. It's in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, any other updates before we move on? I think we're good. All right, so our featured speaker today is our City Councilor, Vesna Nuon, who will be talking about Affordable Housing Trust Fund and Community Preservation Act. Vesna, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Marissa. I have some technical issue with my video, but can you hear me on the voice though?
Yep, we can hear you.
Right, well, thank you. I know that your last meeting, my colleague, John Drinkwaters, was talking also about affordable housings in the city. Back in, during my first term back in the 2019, I see the importance of affordable housings and housing in the city. It's affordable housing shortage in the city. It's a crisis to me. So what the city have done is that we have worked to reduce some barrier in terms of with local building permit and zoning and other restriction, just to help developers to who want to come into Lowell and build a housing unit, but also part of it is have to agree that we have affordable housing, like Wayne Company, one of those. So back in 2019, if you, Joe, some of you do aware that, the city have lost before 2019, the city have lost between, I would say, $5-6 million, those almost 10 years through the money that we could have used to build affordable housings, to build recreational spaces and so on. But we didn't get it because our neighbor received it because they joined the community. They were part of community preservation. So if you're a part of it, then you can get those 15-25% of whatever the amount you put into, and you can put into is up to 3% of the taxes. And what the city have done is that what I did was I filed a motion back then, and with support of Mayor Samaras and other councilors, we did have put it to the voter, and the voter did support it. We put 1% of our taxes, so that 1% roughly $1.3 million. So in this pot, because granted, whether you join this community preservation or not, you still have to fix your park, your open spaces, and also you still have to address affordable housing. So by joining it, what you do get is those 15-25% of, say, $1.3 million per year, that 1% taxes. So add it all up, you have 400, 500, almost $500,000 a year extra to fix the recreational spaces, open spaces, and to do affordable housing. So those money we can use now, 2021, that's going to be the first time we're going to use it. The money in there now is like almost $1 million, roughly, I say between $800,000 to $900,000 now that we could use for 4 things actually. 1 is affordable housing, 2 is preserving open spaces, 3 is recreational facilities and or field open space, and then the other is historical. But what we need most is affordable housing in the city. So the managers just put together a committee. Those committee going to review those funds and then advise the council as to what's the appropriate cost of action to use those money for. So that said, with that money, I said, you know what? There's more we can do. Look at 2 other cities and towns, Somerville. What Somerville have there, they have an affordable housing trust fund. So they had that was 20-something years ago in Somerville. And what they do with this affordable trust fund is the idea is to preserve and create kind of affordable, not just affordable housing, but also affordable rental for those low income that cannot meet the cannot make the payment or cannot do the deposit. So this trust fund can help that. And how you get the revenue from it is a kind of a linkage fee or revenues that link from the commercial from the developer. You kind of link them. Say, for example, if someone were to come and say, I want to develop part of the Upper Highland, okay, and so they go into the planning board, and then the planning board will say, well, since you're going to put affordable, building develop in this area, what we want is that you to fix this stop sign, the sidewalk, and then give us this money to fix that, and that money will go into the trust fund. So just last council meeting, what happened was we got a report back from the DPD, Department of the Development, Planning Development. So that report, rather than discuss in the council meeting, which I had experience with community preservation, is that instead of discuss those details at the council meeting, what you do is you send to the committee, a committee that certainly that would be in the chairperson, they'll be in favor of calling a meeting. So in these cases, I asked the mayor and the council agreed to send it to the housing subcommittee, which chaired by John Drinkwater, and we're going to discuss this in detail as to how we're going to do this linkage, how we're going to raise that trust fund, build that trust fund in terms of to help those who are and then which the trust fund too is that similar to the community preservation, you do have a commission also like a trustee, board of trustee that again appointed by the manager In terms of, make a decision as to, like I said, helping with rental assistance and looking to build affordable housing into organizations that are doing that, like CPA, CTIs, and so on. So I see what happening is that you look at the developers that are coming to the city. I mentioned earlier about the wind company. The wind company are building now in the Hampton Canal District, lot number 8 and 9. But what the wind company have done is the wind company is one of those good developer in the city. And this is not just their first building. They had other building in the city, and they work very well with the city, and the city has been helpful to them in terms of helping them with the tax relief, with the building permit relief, with the parking relief, and so on and so forth. We're looking at, so we invite them to come a couple meetings ago to talking about how to, can you share with us how to build more affordable housing in the city? So they did. They gave us some great insight, great idea with number and all that. That said, because Solidarity actually acquired 2 lots from the city in the Hampton Canal District, lot number 4 and 5. And I'm sure he's going to come to the council asking for tax relief, the tip. And he's going to go to the state too, but more important to the city of Lowell for loan and for the tip, tax relief. And tax relief is you and I, all of us, tax that we pay to the city, and those are the relief that developer like wind company and Solidarity will get when they come and ask for it. And I'm sure that he will come and ask for it. And with information, with detailed information from wind company, we can then, ask Sal in terms of to match it, if not come close to it. It's organization like yourself, Solidarity Lowell and other could help us, meaning help the council, like myself and John Drinkwaters. And I don't know many others that are a big fan of affordable housings and looking at social injustice and all that on the council. So that's why just the 2 of us, 3 of us, it's not going to it's not going to work, because we need all of you when there's certain when Solidarity come back before the council. We will alert you of that. Acquire you with a tool to ask those questions. And some of you already know, particularly Joe Boy and Steve and others as well, know exactly what to ask, because in order, we want to help developer to build their unit, but they also have to help us too with a percentage of those units will be affordable housing. So it has to help each other. We cannot give developer a store and maybe a key to that store too. And believe me, some of my colleagues will do just that. All right, so that's what I've been working. You have to. I learned over the years you have to, really work smart on this and instead of discuss this affordable housing trust fund, trust, on the council, on the full council, you send it to the subcommittee, housing subcommittee, and then you kind of like talk more about it and how to get it passed. And that's what I did with Community Preservation Act. So I hope this will pass also, because this 2 tools going to help in terms of us looking for more affordable housing. On top of that, I think the city have done it already, and we need to do more helping organization like CBA, who does affordable housing, who does housing with property that on a tax list, right? When we sell those property, the city, because the homeowner owe tax to the cities and all that, so the city acquire it, and the city would bundle it up and sell it to developers who wanna buy it. So instead of selling to developer, I would advocate that they do sell it to organization, nonprofit like CBA or CTI to build more affordable housing for our residents in the city of Lowell. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Vesna. Who has questions?
I have one.
Okay.
Vesna, has the city manager appointed all of the seats on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee and the Community Preservation Committee?
No, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it's an ordinance. You know, that has to be discussed as a subcommittee. Like I said, I asked that they send to the Housing Subcommittee, and John Drinkwater is going to call those meetings. And then when you have the iron that out, you bring it back to the council, you ask for a vote. And when the vote takes place, and then what's going to happen is that you have an ordinance now. So now the manager can go ahead, you know, appoint people to that, a board of trustee to that community, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee. That is the trustee there. So that hasn't happened yet, right? The issue with regard to Affordable Housing Trust got sent to the Housing Subcommittee now to have a talk about, and then when it come back to the council, we're going to talk about the ordinance, create an ordinance for it. As far as the Community Preservation Act, yes, there's 9 members. All 9 has been appointed by the manager.
Okay.
And it's mixed too. I think we had a Hispanic person and a Cambodian person and a couple other people that also very knowledgeable around this issue. Former commissioner of former DPD directors, Adam Backey was on it as well.
On the CPA, yeah. Have you gotten a sense of how a bit high priority affordable housing is going to be for that committee compared to the other things CPA funds can do?
You mean the CPA?
Yeah, the CPA committee. Do you feel like you know whether they?
I think so. I think, you know, if you just look at the number of people that the manager appoint, I think they understand the need, and that a lot of those people, like, you know, Adam Backey, know that affordable housing is an issue because he's working with the university on some of those work as well. And so yes, and I know Sydney Leung is another person that on it as well. So Sydney knows exactly what's going on as well.
What about looking around the council? Do you think that your fellow city councilors would consider affordable housing to be the priority for CPA money?
I think they can say it's not a problem. You know, I think they can say, they cannot say that it's not a problem. I'm sure most of them, I would say, will vote for it. I couldn't see them use that money to preserve an open space, or I know it's historical is important too, but besides the Smith Baker, I'm not sure of any other historical that is of sight of the council at this point.
Okay. And so in turn, looks like Paul Godet had his hand up.
Just a question about whether, Vesna, if you know if the city manager has a list of properties city-owned that might be available for this kind of development without having to take existing buildings or whatever. Has that kind of a study been done over the years?
I think, you know, there was, we asked for a list of property, the city-owned property. I remember the manager probably have to give us that already. I can follow up with that with you on that. There are lists of property city-owned. Yes, correct. There's lists of that. But you know, a lot of this project, you know, we tend to focus on more so on a big development, like a big developer like wind companies and you know, now there's solar police and other. We should, at the same time, we should also look at in helping those who want to, you know, build multi-families as well. So that zoning changes also need to be made. And couple meetings ago, I joined with Councilor Rook to look at a zoning to make sure that to kind of like, you know, adjust to it, because you know you can't leave certain areas that you know that you can do a multifamily. You should, because you know things change. We are not live back, the old age anymore, and so that work been done right now, but it would take a long time, Paul. You know how City of Lowell work.
Talking about the zoning, amending the zoning to make it easier to build housing.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that motion from Councilor Drinkwater. That was sort of
that too. John did that as well. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, with the affordable housings, I have a really solid partner on the council in John Drinkwater. I can't say about other, really.
Unfortunately. Well, we'll be happy to, get folks to that meeting whenever you need us. Just let us know, and we'll put some questions together. If you want to, if there's any specific questions or things that you want us to bring up, please feel free to let us know, and we'll be happy to help in whatever way we can with that.
Sure. I do have suggestion. I mean, no more question before I leave. I have suggestion for you. I saw on your screen, as far as updated, I saw there was a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force. Mm-hmm. It's not a task. What do you mean by task force?
Oh, that's the DEI consortium.
Oh, it's consortium. Okay. Suggestion for the consortium and for use as well for Solidarity of Lowell. The chief, the Lowell Police, the chief has appointed a citizen advisory committee, and that particularly for the police department. But more important, I think Solidarity of Lowell members and the DEI member need to engage with the mayor. The mayor task force, that is the one very important task force that also look at talking on issue with the police department as well, that citizen advisory committee does not do or does not bring it up. So the mayor is the one that appoint that task force. Okay, so he has not, I'm not sure if he started that yet, right? Mm-hmm. I urge that you reach out to him, and those who are member, get on it, because those are the one who bring on, because you have the mayor John Leahy on a lot of your side too. He's on your side, and thanks to his daughters, she's a big influence on him. So yeah, I mean that's important group. Get on the phone now, starting tomorrow, and because you don't want to be the last one, and then he's going to say, well, I got everyone now. And that's just my suggestion. That way you have the team inside and the team outside, right? So that, I mean, the DEI group outside, you're still going to have your group, solid group, but also inside, you have inside information. You can't be screaming and yelling and talking about from the outside. You have to also be inside, in there. And so that's just my suggestion.
Great, thank you. Steve, did you have a question?
Steve?
You're mute, Steve.
Well, Steve, you have what? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to do things one-handed here. So Vesna, I don't know really a lot about the ins and outs of public housing and so forth. So I hope you perhaps will excuse my my naivete or something here. But I hear this discussion about affordable housing and building affordable housing and how this process works. But I don't hear anybody talking about housing for poor and low income people. Just as an anecdote, you mentioned Somerville. When I was a boy, my mother, who was a single mom. My father died. My mother was a single mom, had to work. And so often I would have to stay with my grandmother, who had a third floor walk-up tenement in Union Square in Somerville. It wasn't the best of places, but it was a place. After all these decades of having a trust fund for affordable housing, I can't afford to live where my grandmother did. I don't know where poor people in Somerville live. So my question is, you know, when you're filling out these councils for the Preservation Act money and the affordable housing committees, who represents poor and working, who represents poor and low income people on those committees, so that it just doesn't become a process of gentrification?
Good question, Steve. But you know, on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the Board of Trustees, some of those money is not only for affordable housing, but also help people who cannot pay rent, help people with down payment. I think that's what I saw. That's what Somerville is doing with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And Lowell, if happen as an ordinance, if the council were to, you know, vote for it, we could do the same in those areas where we link the payment to the developer and use that trust fund, use that money to help in terms of down payment. I know that also the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership is doing that as well, Steve, with first home buyer people. I'm not sure if there's any others. You know, again, the committee and I'm sure the city and the council as a whole, I would like to learn more as to how what can we do to help those low income who want to buy housings and short of a lot more than just down payment. But at this point, I don't have much knowledge of it, Steve. Anything else, Steve?
Any other questions for Vesna? I think that's it. Well, thank you, Vesna. We really appreciate it. That was very informative.
Thank you, Marissa.
We'll get on those action items from you.
Thank you, everyone, and good luck for recruiting. You know, use that map on the city website about the redistricting. I mean, sometime I believe is going to be Dr. Basella going to give a public meeting sometime in mid-November. So it'll be great. Yeah. I mean, I can what I can do is that I can. Tomorrow I can forward you the proposed date as to what's going to happen in that, so you can share with the members. You know, I know that you're recruiting candidates and stuff. Start doing now. I mean, you know, it's as early as you can. Good luck, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Vesna.
Thanks, Vesna.
Thanks.
Okay, so our next meeting is going to be on December 20th. We'll be celebrating all of our victories from the whole year of 2020. You can join the discussion in #events in the events group on our Slack channel. And we're always looking for help with reminder texts. If you are interested in helping out, please let us know. It's very simple. We provide the script. All you have to do is punch the numbers into your phone and copy and paste. Who would like to help? Anyone?
I'll help out.
Who is that?
Tara.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? It's very easy. Usually, the more people we have, the merrier. It's usually we only have maybe 10 to 15 reminders that you have to send out. But if you're interested, you can always email Chris at solidaritylowell.com. And you can join us online at our Facebook page. That is our public facing page. You'll see public events, photos, and more. Unfortunately, that's not where the discussion happens. In order to do that, you need to follow the Facebook group. So look for groups/solidarityLowell.com on Facebook. And there you can participate in discussion and have access to all of our events, including those that are for members only. You can join us on Slack, visit our website, solidaritylowell.com, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SolidarityLowell. And thank you all for attending.
Melissa,
And
there's something
yes.
that's come up in the chat that I think I think we might want to hear about. Jay, could you speak to this for a couple briefly?
Yeah, thank you. Joe, I first want to apologize. I didn't mean to post that during Vesna's speaking. I hit return early and I apologize for that. But yeah, I just heard from a colleague on the Conservation Commission that National Grid is coming back to the December 9th conservation meeting. Conservation is the only group in Lowell that has something to say about National Grid coming through. They can get all the permits they need without going before anybody except for the Conservation Commission. So December 9th, they're going to be talking about the modernization program, which runs from, it basically parallels Route 3 from Billerica through Chelmsford, well, in Lowell, but by from Billerica to the Chelmsford line. It's about a mile or so. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since they came to Lowell and advocated for this modernization program. And I don't want to take too much time. I know this is the end of the meeting, but they will be presenting and we would be looking for folks to attend and keep them honest. It's December 9th. I don't know what time the Conservation Commission meets. I suspect that it's around 6 o'clock, but it would be on the website. I will check that and find out. So if anyone's interested for more information, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Yeah, if you can make it to the 9th, I think that would be very helpful for the community to keep some eyes on what's going on.
Do you know if folks have to sign up in order to speak?
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I would urge people to contact the city clerk for that right, and that's easy to do. You just call and leave a message.
Okay, and definitely make sure to let us know once you have that information, and we'll include that in our rapid response update email. And and if you want to just post directly to the Facebook group, that's fine as well. But just give us a heads up so we can include it in the email.
Thank you, Marissa. Joe?
I used to staff conservation commissions, and they have what are called public hearings. You don't have to sign up. They have the meeting, and then they say, "Is there anybody from the public who wants to speak to this?" It is far more open than the city council process.
Okay, good.
So if you're in the room that night, you get to talk.
Great.
Could I just add that not only does it run parallel to 3A to the connector, but the connector runs basically parallel to River Meadow Brook, which is an extraordinary natural resource that's an incredibly neglected natural resource that runs right through the middle of Lowell. And to have National Grid come in there and tear it up to do this gas pipeline expansion, it's not really a modernization, it's an expansion of their pipeline infrastructure. To have them come in and impact River Meadow Brook would be a damn shame. So, Jay, you're always welcome at the 3:50 meeting. It's Wednesday. If you want to come and
yeah, I
this.
plan to be there. Thank you, Stephen. Also, that route is right next to the Bailey and the Daily School.
Good to know. Yeah, we'll definitely want to be a part of that meeting.
Great.
All right, so that's it for us for our meeting. Thank you so much for everyone for attending and everyone for speaking. And yeah, we'll be here for a couple minutes if anyone has anything else to share. Otherwise, we will see you at our next meeting on December 20th.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
If anyone is interested, Nancy Green, some of you may know, is organizing postcards to voters for the Georgia runoff. She has had a couple of days already of doing like postcarding events like we used to do at, they're opening up, they're letting us use the dining room in Warp and Weft, and there's socially distanced postcard writing. She usually does it at like drop-offs and stuff. So if anybody's interested in doing that, I'll get in touch with me and I'll pass you on to her, and you can find out about the events.
Thanks, Joe.
Otherwise, all right. Nice to see you all.
Yep, good to see everybody.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Hi.
Good night.
Good night.